Welcome to Shah's IAS Institute, looking at editorials for 1st October 2016. The two editorials in the Hindu newspaper. The first one is Taking the Road Less Dusty. This is regarding the particulate matter pollution and the recent World Health Organization report, which stated that nearly 6 lakh deaths take place in India annually due to particulate matter pollution in the air. So this is a huge figure, an eye-opener. Of course, this is based on a modeled estimate, but still it's wide. And also, there is need for more studies linking actually diseases, deaths and pollution. But still, efforts need to be taken in this direction. The diseases which are caused due to particulate matters are stroke, ischemic heart diseases, acute lower respiratory infection and chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. The term ischemic means blocking the arterial flow of blood to the tissue or an organ, and pulmonary, you should know, is related to lungs. The sources of these particulate matters in rural areas are burning of biomass like fuel wood, coal, farm litter and cow dung cakes. In urban areas, it is generally due to construction debris, vehicular exhaust and road dust. So these are the sources of particulate matter, and the effective measures which need to be put in place are also discussed ahead. The Prime Minister launched Air Quality Index last year in 2015. So that is an initiative which needs to be strengthened. Air quality should be measured and then effective steps taken to reduce and better the air quality. The other part is about construction and demolition based management rules. These rules clearly say that debris should be suitably managed, but that is not done in cities. The Environment Ministry has also said that debris is actually a resource. This is in line with what Prime Minister Manmohan Singh also says in Swachh Bharat Mission. He says that waste is a resource. There is no need for allocation of resources for Swachh Bharat Mission. Rather, the waste should be recycled, reused, and that should generate resources. So that is the step and the perspective which is also reinforced by Environment Ministry, saying that debris should play the role of a resource. The municipal and government contracts also require that 20% of the materials used for construction should be from construction and demolition waste. The local authorities are also responsible for management of this debris and provide containers for them. Of course, providing cleaner fuels in rural areas will take things forward too. Scientifically designed cook stoves are required to be made available. Also, availability of LPG connections in rural areas. The initiative, the Give It Up campaign of Prime Minister is also a step in the right direction. So that is there. Even in urban areas, first air quality index measurement comes in place, then taking steps to reduce that will also help. So that is the major part which is covered in this editorial about particulate matter, the causes and the steps which need to be taken to effectively control it. And also it talks about the diseases related to it. The next editorial here is about return of Hekmatyar. This is Gulbuddin Hekmatyar, the Afghan warlord, once known as the Butcher of Kabul. Afghan president presently has signed a peace agreement with this warlord. So the editorial also questions why this peace agreement has been signed with him now, when today he is very weak. He is not strong in Afghanistan too. He was propped up by US in 1980s during the anti-Soviet jihad. But later he also backtracked from US support and he declared war against US after a 2001 Afghan invasion by US. And now he has been declared as a terrorist by US. The organization to which he belongs, which he leads, Hezb Islami, has been declared a terrorist organization by UN. And now when he is no longer very powerful, his command in Afghanistan has reduced, the president of Afghanistan signs a peace agreement. The reasons given and speculated by the editorial here are also that actually the terror organization powerful in Afghanistan today is Taliban. The Afghan president Ashraf Ghani also tried to have a deal with Taliban. Negotiations failed. So now maybe it is speculated that this agreement with Hekmatyar is to show Taliban that such an agreement between the government and a former terror organization and terrorist leader is possible, so that Taliban also comes to the table and negotiates. Afghan government presently is quite weakened. There are internal struggles, infightings within the party, incompetence, lack of resources. There is massive security challenge. So the editorial says the Afghan president Ashraf Ghani does not have many choices. So this is amongst the worst possible initiatives which he can take so that peace can be signed with Taliban and they give up violence and can be integrated into the government. Just like Hikmatyar, he has been promised that he would be integrated into the government. Not just that, even Hizb-e-Islami militants would be integrated into the Afghan armed forces. Of course, it is also stated that this is a controversial initiative and may backfire, but the options are few. So that was the editorials. The next thing which we look at is the question bank. The question bank initiative is about putting up a question based on other articles in the opinion and lead articles which are there in the Hindu newspaper. Generally, there are 4 articles. Sometimes there are even 2 articles in these pages. Amongst these, the most prominent ones are picked up which are relevant for the exam preparation to be studied. A question is framed and a write-up is given based on that, and you have to prepare an answer for it. Of course, your answer should be within 200 words. So the write-up is complete explanation of whatever is mentioned, but everything need not be written. So you should have the skill to understand what's relevant to the question and only that is written. Okay. The question for today is, India has repeatedly faced terror strikes from Pakistani soil. Have Indian responses been fitting? How can India safeguard itself from such attacks in the future? So of course, this question is in the background of the Uri terror attacks and the surgical strikes which India took up recently. By discussing the repeated terror strikes which have taken place on Indian soil so far, even starting from post-Kargil War. The Kargil War which took place in 1999 was just a year after both the countries had nuclear tests done and became nuclear weapon states in 1998. So the Kargil War was a huge flag point where it was felt that 2 nuclear weapon states are indulged in a war. So that ended, but 2 years after that, the parliament attacks took place. The attack in 2001 on the parliament, which was an attack directly on a democratic institution in India. So after these parliamentary attacks by terrorists from Pakistani soil, the government launched Operation Parakram. The Operation Parakram led to mobilization of large number of forces along the LOC and tensions had escalated. The international pressure on General Pervez Musharraf then in Pakistan also resulted in him declaring that Pakistan territory would no longer be allowed to be used by terrorists. He even declared Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Toiba, JEM and LET, the 2 prominent terrorist organizations in Pakistan, as terrorist organizations. So this had taken place post then. Even of course any war which takes place will result in diversion of economic resources from social sector like for health, education and welfare of the people to defense. So this is of course not desirable for growth and development of both the developing countries. The way in which the responses had come, this was one response to parliament attacks in 2001. Post that, the thawing of relations of course took place during Vajpayee's time. The Srinagar-Muzaffarabad bus service was also started. The National Security Advisor of the 2 countries also started back-channel negotiations. So the relations had come back on track. But of course, after that in 2008, Mumbai terror attacks took place. The Mumbai terror attacks in which a terrorist was also captured alive. So the clear evidence of Pakistani involvement was realized now. Even here evidences were given, still the reaction from Pakistan is abysmal. So the problem here is that the options which we have its limitations. The intelligence for precision strikes has its limitations. The ground operations will also result in escalation, so that is also to be avoided. The realistic option which is there is actually to bring Pakistan on the negotiation table and bring in peace. The problem is that in Pakistan, it's not just the Pakistani government which will decide, but the Pakistani army itself is powerful. There have been many times when Pakistan army has toppled democratically elected governments in Pakistan. So again, that is a major problem which the authorities there face. So the problem now is that whatever be the negotiations, if terror attacks continue taking place from Pakistan, we cannot go ahead. So apart from negotiations, on our part too, our intelligence has to strengthen. So even post Mumbai terror attacks, the response was that NADGRID, National Integrated Intelligence Grid, was formed. So this grid, apart from National Investigation Agency, NIA, an organization to look into terror attacks, was established. National Counter-Terrorism Center was established. So of course, institutions were put in place to respond to such terror attacks. But still, what is required is negotiations and also strengthening ourselves along the border. So intelligence has to be strengthened. The linkage, like NADGRID is also intelligence grid, means intelligence which is available at the lower levels and even at the local levels should reach the center and these organizations, and immediate steps need to be taken. So intelligence should be well linked. Plus other ways are also to strengthen the borders, to have borders well secured so that such terrorists cannot enter into India and strike. So that is another way in which response can come. The other ways in which the present government has tried responding even to Uri terror attacks are by putting diplomatic pressure internationally, but again it has limitations. Even at UN, the government made a call for declaring Pakistan as a country harboring terrorists, but not much support came forth. Then it also tried to banish it from SAARC. So we are trying to have SAARC minus Pakistan now. The present summit at SAARC has been postponed. The MFN status issue again came up, whether MFN status should be revoked from Pakistan. But again, that is an international law. WTO law requires every member to confer MFN status to every other member. So again, that will be violating international law. Even Indus Water Treaty, if we try to violate that, that will create troubles. Of course, the Prime Minister said that we are just going to strengthen our stand and utilize Indus Waters, our share, holistically, completely, presently. So there is no talk of violation. So that shows that only way forward is talking, negotiations, and strengthening intelligence and counter-terrorism initiatives. That is the only way in which Pakistan can be brought online and we stay immune to attacks from Pakistan. Right. So then now you have to write an answer for this. You can make an attempt at it. Try writing within 200 words. Students can write an answer and submit to the institute. We will evaluate your answers and give them back. So this can be done as a daily exercise as well. Thank you so much.